Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Popcorn and Gore Gothic Grindhouse. We're coming to you with a chapter 2 of my action adventure in sci-fi fantasy. Don't forget guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. Let's just get right into it guys. This will be the part 2 or chapter 2 of sci-fi adventure in action. So let's briefly go over some of the titles that I already have that I'm going to be briefly going over. And let's get right into it. All right, so first up, guys, we'll be going over my Xena Warrior Princess complete series. We got already seasons 1 through 6 in the collection box. I'm a huge fan of Lucy Lawless. Just want to briefly go over the collection. Stunning artwork on the box. Pretty badass. I grew up watching this like every morning. I would turn on Xena and pretty much check out what her adventures in detail, and she always had pretty much something to, to take you through. And her and Hercules both together pretty much had it where they always had some kind of adventures going on where they were saving somebody somewhere. So I want to briefly go over the collection and pretty much let y'all know what's going on with it and why it's my favorite. All right, so we got the Xena collection from 1 through 6, and this is the overall box set of the collection. Stunning. Lucy Lawless was the fave. I remember she used to come on the TV all the time and do her adventures. So, all right, so we're going to go over some ones I have in the collection. All right, so this is season 1. Pretty badass. It's a complete season 1. And then this is season 2. So don't forget, guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And feel free to check out the first one that I had up with the sci-fi fantasy action adventure. That was chapter 1. This is chapter 2, action adventure and sci-fi fantasy. So we got Xena, the Warrior Princess. Some of my favorites. That's season 2. It's season 3. I like how they did the artwork on the boxes too also. And you see Celestial in the back. She's friends on my Facebook page, and she pretty much likes everything I do, and she's subscribed to my channel. So she's pretty cool. We pretty much like each other's stuff, so plus she's pretty hot in the season. Her and Xena was friends, and they still are friends. And I was a huge fan of the show. All right, so that's season 3. And this is season 4. I like the battle between them two also. It was always pretty much epic. They kind of went through. I'm just going to be going over a quick... I'm not going to try to make this one too long, guys, but I'm just going to briefly go over chapter 2 of my favorites when it comes to sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure. So we got Xena the Warrior Princess, season 4. And next up, we have season 5. The graphics get more and more detailed too also as the seasons go along. She's pretty much a warrior of her own time. And there's her with Gabrielle in the background. Pretty much epic journey. And that's season 5. All right, so next up we have season 6. Xena Warrior Princess, which is the last and final. I remember when this aired on the TV, they made a big deal out of it because they were like, "Oh, the epic final season battle with Xena. Tune in." And everybody and their mother was like tuning in to see the final battle of 22 episodes of a heroic and epic tale of a conclusion coming to an end, with Xena finally exacting her revenge on all those who have done her wrong and tried to set everything back. And Griselda pretty much helped her to recover the things that she was out to look for. So it was pretty much epic. The last and final season 6 of the Xena Warrior collection. Apologize about the glare, guys, but yeah. And next up, I have to pretty much get the rest of them, but this ran also in concurrent with Xena. You had season 1 of Hercules and Legendary Journey. I will be ordering the complete series of him too also, but these are the ones that I had started off with first. Hercules, Kevin Sorbo had pretty much a lot of his stuff. Movies that he starred in or whatever like that. So I will also be ordering too also Andromeda, which is another one of my favorites. We got season 1 of Hercules. All right, so next up we have season 3 of Hercules, The Legendary Journey. One of my favorites too also. You can see him and Xena pretty much teamed up on this particular one. She pops in and out, but on this one, she pretty much was in there heavily. And she helped pretty much guide him on the way. As you see there, you see Celestia in the back. And she told that Xena was around exacting her revenge because she was hanging out with this one guy. And Bruce Campbell also stars in this particular episode too, also where he makes his appearance. So yeah, season 3 of Legendary Hercules. So I thought that was pretty much my Hercules collection. And Xena. And we're moving on to the next files. All right, guys, another show used to come on too also was my favorite, Legend of the Seeker Season 2. I also have Season 1 too on my hard drive, but I kind of wanted Season 2 because Season 2 for me was pretty much the badass. And Mother Confessor and the Wizard and Dana and all her crew were out to do harm with the rest of the people too also. And the town, they would go around exacting their revenge, and the car ended up joining their side, which is the reason why I got this for, because as you can see, it's pretty much of an epic tale of nothing but kick-ass fantasy. And that guy you see there, he played in Spartacus too also, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this became my favorite. And the Seeker pretty much had to go on an epic journey, almost like how Xena did, but it was more like where he was joined with Kara, which is my gorgeous fan. I love Kara. And she was to help aid him. So she turned from Maud Sith to joining the Seeker side, him and Mother Confessor and the Wizard. And I thought it was pretty much badass. And this is the Ultimate Collection, the second and final season. I'm kind of shocked because it didn't make it to a third season, because everybody kind of wanted it to go on to a third season, and it just kind of just didn't do it. And I was kind of pissed off because I was like, damn, I wanted it to really make it because everybody was pretty much watching it when this came on. I was kind of young when this came out, but I grew up watching this because it was running concurrent. So the way I'm running these movies, the way I'm pretty much bringing them out is the way how they were on the network. So there you have a secret on the front disc for the first one. Second one, you have Mother Confessor. Third, you have Kara, which is my gorgeous baby. I love Kara. She's pretty cool. And she looks good in that more Sith outfit. Then you had the Wizard. And then you had the Underworld. One guy who works for the Underworld guy. And he pretty much was the bad person. So he pretty much exacted his revenge. And then also on the side, they also got a photo too also of the rest of the girls. And there's the Sisters of the Veil here. It's Mother Confessor along with Kara and the Wizard. And an ultimate back shot of them three together. So yeah, it's pretty much a long tale, but done up pretty good. So yeah, we have Legend of the Seeker, which was my ultimate fave. Alright guys, so next up, I don't know if y'all guys remember this one, but if you guys do, but you remember this show called The Voyages. Sadly, it only made it to the first season, but yeah, these guys go around. There's Borg, and there's his companion who ended up picking him up and carrying him through because he's supposed to have been in school, and he ended up this joining the alternate venture. So these guys travel through time, and this is called an on. And what it is that when the on's red, something is wrong in history, and they have to pretty much put it back together. And if the on's green, that means they're good to go on to the next chapter in the adventure. And they travel through the galaxies and through time through these portals that's done through the on. And they travel through dimensions, putting history and time back in place. It's take a voyage through time, and I mean that too also because they were actually doing things pretty cool. And I thought that this was pretty much one of my baddest shows that I pretty much wanted to get into. Like I said, the guy Borg passed away on the set due to a malfunction or incident where he sustained an injury and didn't survive his injury. And after that, the show was just done after that. And like I said, The Voyages was my ultimate. And yeah. So this is the first season of The Voyages. All right, so next up we have Spartacus, Gods of the Arena, which is my favorite, and this is the booklet. And one of my favorites, I'll be going over the booklet with y'all guys and showing you how the features pretty much came about. And y'all have seen this before, but I'm just doing my review on my action adventure. This is chapter 2. Guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And feel free to leave me some comments on some of the media that I'm pretty much putting up here. And these are some of my favorites that are on shelf 3 that I already had organized already. But this is the stars portion of it. And we'll be going over Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. Played by the beautiful Gannicus on the front of it. He was pretty much a gladiator that earned his right and joined up with Spartacus to help bring the House of Gladiators down to their knees. All right, so it's in booklet form with all the necessary artworks on the inside, and as you can see, you have some beautiful artwork. You have Gaia and you have the rest of them. Lucy Lawless here. You have Barker. You have Animaeus. You have Crixus, the undefeated Gaul. And you have Gannicus on the front. And you have Dynamis, played by the talented John Hannah, on the inside. And over here is Barker's friend, who also was a gladiator too, also that went to the same school that pretty much played a good part 2 also. And his name was Octus. Octus was bad with that sword because he had one primary motive when he fights, where he tries to unarm you through his fiendish tricks, and then as he's trying to unarm you, he's actually wounding you at the same time, and then all for his benefit. So Octus was a bad motherfucker. And to Crixus, which you see on the lower side, had to put an end to Octus. Gaia, the one you see played next to Lucy Lawless, decided to drop past the House of Batiatus, and through some fiendish fate, took a lot of pleasures in the House of Batiatus, and ended up costing her life through a ritual and incantation where they love to partake of in this one romantic orgy session with opium, and she learned her fate inside of the House of Batiatus. This booklet is pretty much awesome, guys, and there she is right there, beautiful picture of Gaia. And there's Salonius in the background. There's John Hannah along with Lucy Lawless. And as you can see, that they have a lovely, pretty much selection of characters that they had all lined up for this particular feature. And I thought everything was pretty much ultimate, the way how they had everything lined up. And plus, it was pretty much ultimate to see that the character arrangement that they had pretty much for this entire cast, the wardrobe and everything complemented, almost like that you were really in the century of them in that particular time of ancient Rome. And Gaia and her characteristics proved that she was not only worthy of being alone in the House of Batiatus, but she actually made it known to John Hannah that she could help aid him and get his gladiators into the Primus, which is a very, very, it's almost like a arena where the best are offered, and then when they win, they not only represent the house where they're from, but the purse, meaning the prize sum that they actually have, could equal up to putting the house into two things, either financial ruin or bring them up in standards, or as Dominus says, moving above their station. And I believe that pretty much was his sole purpose, well, their two sole purpose. And as you can see here, for the next particular shot, you had Animaeus, which is the one there with the scar on her chest, and there's his wife there. It was a huge tale where she actually passed away in the house because she partook of in a ceremony with Gannicus where she was forced to sleep with Gannicus. And when she did sleep with Gannicus, they had bought some wine by Salonius. It was provided by Salonius, but that wine was actually tainted because it was meant for, John Hannah and Lucy Lawless to drink so that way they could pass away, because they were kind of mad because they didn't give him, they wanted Gannicus. So she ended up taking the wine into Gannicus' cell because Gannicus had won through the victory and ended up drinking it. Gannicus didn't drink any of the wine because he didn't want to drink at that particular time, but once she drank the wine, it was no going back, and her fate was pretty much sealed. And there's the back cover too also. It's a beautiful booklet, beautiful, very, very beautiful booklet. One of the smoothest booklets I have seen in a while. With also has the bonus features too. Also has 5.1 bonus sound. I mean, it's really, really good. It's made for one of those ones where when you pop it in, you know that you're really pretty much there. I remember when this first came on the screen, where everybody wanted to check out, what Stars had to offer at that particular time. And like I said, it's a gorgeous book. And I always kept it in the jacket so that way it could be nice and clean. And this is the collector's edition. Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. Starring John Hannah, Peter Messiah, and everybody else's cast has been here. And of course, Lucy Lawless and Dustin Clark. And there's a shot of Ganigris on the front cover with his victory over Theocles, the man that couldn't be defeated, so they say. All right, so next up to rival Gods of the Arena, because this was the second one. Spartacus was the first one. Blood and Sand, which is my ultimate favorite too also. And of course, everybody knows the story over how Spartacus earned his freedom and how he was tricked by Dynamis to not only fight in the pits, he was also led to believe that his wife will be returned to him by John Hannah, a.k.a. Dynamis, and everything will be fine, and then they will be set free. But it didn't work out that way because they had a plan for that to never happen. Spartacus got wind and found out that these are the things that they were doing in the house, and decided to corrupt the house by using the slaves to work along with him and seek vengeance on those who kept them captive in the dungeons of the House of Batiatus. The House of Batiatus contained a lot of slaves and a lot of people who were forced to do things that they didn't want to do, and was pretty much robbed of coin too also, because the harder they fought, the less coins they got, and everything that was provided for them was provided through the Dynamis. And since Lucy Lawless and John Hannah was their master, they had no say over what they could do. So some legends are written in blood. And in this particular visual dazzling tale of complex and sort of ultimate cinematic graphics, I guess, was beautifully done. And there's a shot there of Spartacus over his victory. And that particular time he saved Crixus from meeting his fate. And Crixus ended up rising to his station too also, and was joined by Ganigris due to Crixus' absence, and Spartacus rised over his station and put the House of Batiatus back on the map, the way how things should have been. Now for my next stars pack, because I wanted to do the whole thing, I'll just bring out the second. Also, another stars feature too also, which was one of my favorites too also, because all of this is stars. This is why I'm doing it in one big gigantic wheel. You have Camelot, the complete first season. Sorry, I did not make it to a second season, which is, I'm kind of almost stoked about that, because Camelot was pretty much good, featuring the talented Ava Green. And this was one of my favorites too also. And you had Merlin, the one that played in The Magician. He was in here also too. And the special features and the bonus chapters and all that kind of good stuff was actually mind-blowing. And this became a hot season. When this particular came out, Stars was on a roll. This is why I did it all together in one big little whop, because Stars were like turning out seasons and series of episodes and sort of, if you will, action and adventure. And by far, this Camelot here to me was almost the ultimate. So let's go inside and check out Camelot, the complete first season. All right, guys, so this is Camelot. And this is the front cover. And you open it up. It's almost like a diary book. And it has everybody in here too also behind the disc, which is what I like. Reference to the movie. Sorry about that glare, guys, but she plays as one of the aliases to his mother, And as you can see, each character is on the top. And as you can see, this one predominantly, I'll move this one particular this to show y'all guys what they do have. Stunning features, stunning features. And some of the artwork is just phenomenal, especially on the inside too, also of the artwork. And there's Merlin, the magician. And this is his wife. Because they seem like they met in a different world anyway, because the way they were kind of acting together. And I guess he wanted to keep it a secret that, that he wanted to have Merlin, which was on the front cover, in power, because if the townsfolk knew that Merlin didn't have any kind of courage with him, they would not want to follow him on his quest. And I think she did a pretty much good job of playing his mother. And plus, she looks gorgeous too. Also, and the outfits were banging, the costumes, the stage, just about everything that they pretty much did in this particular feature was kind of badass. And I'm just sad that it didn't make it to a second season. But when we have these things, guys, you got to kind of really treasure it, because you never know when these things are pretty much not going to be around again. And then also they have it too, also on the inside, where they tell you more about the houses, and that's the banner of the flag of the house that they were representing. Chapters, menus, sounds pretty much good. Bonus features, pretty much is packed in reference to how everything worked out. Pretty much pretty cool. And yeah, it's an ultimate feature collection. Stars really knew how to turn out hits at that particular time, because they were ultimate at what they did. And they had millions of people that tuned in to pretty much watch this particular show. Eva Green, shortly after this, since it only went to one season, I think she went off to Penny Dreadful, which went on HBO. I didn't pretty much like that one, so I just kind of wanted to remember her on Camelot, because I thought this was a good way to kind of break into her in a devious more character. And she plays as his sister, by the way. And she ended up betraying him. And since she betrayed him, he wanted to give his sister one more chance and see if she could pretty much tell him who killed his mother. And then she pretty much didn't like the father, because she wanted the father killed. And it was a totally exact fully revenge. And as you can see it in her eyes that she's really Eva Green's. When she's in character, man, it's kind of hard to turn her off or turn her on. She's really, when she's in character, that's it. She's totally done it. She played the hell out of this character. So this was like my ultimate guy. So click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And this is my chapter 2 of my action adventure and fantasy. Camelot, season 1, or the first season. Okay, next up, Game of Thrones, which is my favorite too, also HBO series. I do have the entire season. This is the entire first season of Game of Thrones. Everybody knows pretty much a Game of Thrones, and everybody pretty much knows the characters and how everything worked out. So I just wanted to show you guys a briefly description on what are my favorites from Game of Thrones and which ones I did collect. So we have the Ultimate Season 1. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I love, I know some people were going to be like, oh, what, you really liked her? I'm like, yeah, I really like the bad people in this particular one. Like, I did love Jon Snow, and I did love, some of the way how they had everything pretty much, set up. But my thing was Cersei. I was a Cersei fan. I love pretty much Cersei. She was evil as hell, and I thought she really laid it on pretty thick in this particular Game of Thrones series here, and she just showed predominantly, definitely in season 8, how much she hated the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, Daenerys. So we have Game of Thrones, the first season. Okay, guys, so this is the first season, and this is the second season on Blu-ray of Game of Thrones, which is my ultimate favorite too also. I like the embossed coloring on it, the way how they pretty much had everything pretty much in this particular series. And I thought that Joffrey was an asshole because, and this one was really, really funny. So these are my favorites out of the Game of Thrones entire series. Joffrey was celebrating his name day, and he wanted to have the guy executed over because he just wanted to take control because he was this big ass baby. And then when she paused at him and had him foaming from the mouth and fall from the floor, I was totally floored. And this is the complete season of season 7. As you can see, a picture of the Night King on the front. It's pretty much pretty badass too also. I love that picture of the Night King. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Because it was, to me, the total shot that you would normally have for a Game of Thrones episode. And the Night King was not only famous at what he did, he was trying to just really finish the whole thing off. So I'm actually pleased that they didn't really let it go too well as, the way they did want to have it. And as you see, there's Tyrion on the inside. And let's take away from this one. Let's see if we can get the Night King out. And this Tyrion was my favorite too also because I loved his wisdom. And he was the one who could really show Daenerys the way and teach her how to not be so forceful in the things that she was doing and to kind of just have some cleverness behind her. And sometimes Tyrion had good ideas and sometimes he had bad ideas, which you guys know, which led his whole family to slaughter, which he didn't want, especially because he cared about Jaime and he cared about his sister Cersei. All right, so then we have Jon Snow, and then we have his sister. And as you can see on the inside, predominantly they had pretty much the card fold-outs of the booklet. I'll be doing a Game of Thrones theme shelf too also, with maybe the dragon and Daenerys on the inside. And yeah, so then we'll get to know predominantly all of what's going on. And then on the back we have Cersei, which is predominantly my favorite. All right, so this is the entire 8th season right here, which is everybody pretty much knows how this pretty much predominantly ended. And it's pretty epic too also. There's Arya, there's Jon Snow, there's Brandon, there's Daenerys, and there's his sister, the one with Needle, and then there's Tyrion. It's pretty much pretty good. And the sound is off the chain too also because they have the anamorphic sound too also, which is pretty cool. And this is the entire special features for the 8th season. They just added it onto a bonus disc. So there we go, guys. We have the entire Game of Thrones with the Night King on the front. Winter is here. All right, so next up, guys, we have Lizzie Borden, Christina Roche, the first installment of miniseries, 8-episode miniseries of Lizzie Borden Chronicles. I was a huge fan of Lizzie Borden, and when I seen that they made this out, this was the best, predominantly one that I wanted to check out, and I pretty much wanted to add it to my collection too. Also, she really rocks in this one, and she really brings Lizzie Borden character to life. It's not much, pretty much I can say too much about it. Y'all guys don't already know, but the whole entire cast was pretty much badass. Like I said, with the way they were dressed. As you can see, she looks just like Lizzie in a way. And you see her and Emma in the town square looking pretty much badass. And as you can see, you see them taking Andrew Borden into jail because he wanted some money from his sister as soon as he got out. And as you can see, there's the one that Lizzie pretty muchly had her running with and pretty much had to deal with later on. And there's the holder of the estate right there, that guy with the hat. And when Andrew Borden Sr. passed away due to his son killing him, and his estate was left in holdings where he owed the bank a lot of money, and his claim was basically worthless. And if Lizzie could just get him out of the way, then there's no claim on the house, and she remains in control of the house. And she didn't pretty much have to move out of where they were. And there's them condemning one guy to fate. Lizzie helped her get rid of one guy. And it was totally my favorite too. Also, I was a huge fan of the characters. It was enlightening the way how they kind of predominantly just kept the story going on and added a few of their own into the mix, which is pretty much cool, other than the one that Elizabeth Montgomery did in the 70s. So this is the entire spin-off of it, and it's predominantly one of my favorites too, also in my collections. Lizzie Borden Chronicles was the ultimate. Christina Roche. All right, guys, so next up we have Conan the Barbarian, which is my favorite too also, and this is the ultimate pack where you have Conan the Destroyer and Conan the Barbarian. I remember when I went to the movies to go see this. It was pretty much epic. And James Earl Jones and Sir Danny Bergman and Grace Jones was predominantly hot during that particular time, and this was an epic tale, beautifully done by Dino De Laurentiis. And the special features also are badass, and some up close and personal documentary on the history of the series itself, and it was beautifully done. And like I said, I was pleased to see this on the giant screen when I was young. So yeah, The Complete Quest, Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And my favorite scene out of this whole entire movie, when he went up to the mountaintop and he prayed to his god Crom, and he told Crom to grant him his revenge. And if Crom didn't grant him his revenge, for Crom to stay the hell out of the way, and he would exact it himself. So I thought that was the designing moment when he wanted to just really get into staying focused on his task at hand. And there were several other key features too also, but that one pretty much dominantly stood out because with them, the wind was blowing, and it was just like awesome just seeing on the giant screen in the movie theaters, just seeing that particular scene, and I predominantly never got that out of my head. That was the one that predominantly did it for me, just seeing him go through that. And then the second one would be when Sir Bergman, right there, came in, and she told him, hey, you guys want to live forever? And she jumps over the tower, Thassa Doom's headquarters, and they all fall down and escape with the jewel of the serpent. And I thought that was another designing moment too also. And then as far as the second one, which is Conan the Destroyer, my designing moment was when he freed Grace Jones, because he thought no one should be held captive, because he knows that because he was held captive himself. So yeah, Conan the Destroyer and the Conan the Barbarian, the complete quest. All right, guys, I went to the movies to see this one too. Also, I'm a huge fan of you guessed it. And this one I went to see, and this one I went to see. So these two only I went to see. I didn't see this one in the movies, but Harrison Ford was predominantly always my favorite. Raiders of the Lost Ark was just my ultimate out of the entire series. The stunts, the action play, the way how he just does everything. I mean, I was just totally floored when I actually went to see this on the movie. So I was pleased to be able to see that. And I still kind of relive that to this day. So how I was able to to see how he was able to do those stunts and stuff like that. And he's running around trying to just do what he do best, which was archaeology, but it turned out to be an adventure, which is how Harrison Ford's movies are. They always like he says, if you ever want to do an adventure, you got to be outside. You got to get out of the cafeteria, or get out of the classroom. And Harrison Ford definitely rocks. And the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom was also my favorites too. I like the car stunts, and I like the way how he used the fire pit and all that kind of good stuff. But the minecart madness was also fun. And then he had the little dude too, also, who was running around. Call him Dr. Jones, and he's running around. They turn out to be this Goonies adventure, which was pretty much badass. And the special features rocks. The sound was pretty much badass, of course, because you talking about George Lucas. His films were always legendary, and he's known for his impeccable film scores, where he really intrigues you with these series of ballads and harmonies and pretty much riffs and film scores of the action screenplay, because he knows how to keep up with the action, and it predominantly rocks, especially this scene with him on the bridge and all. And I thought that this was pretty much badass. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Next up, we have Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls, which is also my favorite too, also because I like the Doctor. I like how they added how he found the Ark and all this kind of good stuff like that. And he's opening up Pandora's box and all this kind of bullshit that's going on. And they're trying to beat him to it. And end up finding this in the salvage bin. The guy was like, well, this is the price that's previously viewed already. So I was like, well, okay, cool, because it was in the video store. And the guy was like, well, we sell movies too also. And he was like, do you have all these? I said, well, I have the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I have the Temple of Doom. I said, this is what I predominantly want. I need the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. And he was like, we got it, buddy. And it was cool because it was pre-owned. And there it was in my collection. Indiana Jones Complete Quest. All right, so next up, guys, we have The Goonies, which is another one of my favorites too. Also, I actually went to the movies to see this. And Spielberg is another one of my favorites too also. And I'm a huge fan of the cast. And hey, you guys. And I was like floored. And this is what I just can't describe it, guys. But it was like when I was in the movies and I saw this, it was like I didn't want the movie to end, because this is how much of a film that this is. Like when you put it together and it's all running and everything is pretty much badass. This is kind of a way how you do a feature, especially when it comes to action adventure. Like I said, this is kind of reminds me of Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's another Spielberg film. So you're talking about sequences of events that are just totally happening one after the other, and then you got a treasure map involved, and you got the Pirate of One-Eyed Willie, and you just got several things going on. I also did go to the movies to see also The Time Bandit. So guys, check out my first review of Chapter 1, Sci-Fi, Action, and Fantasy, for the review of that I did with The Time Bandits, and I showed y'all guys how that was a feature too also, because I did go to the movies to see that. But we have The Goonies, which is my favorite too also. And I love the soundtrack too also, that was done by Cyndi Lauper. And I play that always. Every time I play this, I always play the soundtrack first by Good Enough, and then the Sion Chic, Nikita Koloff, Roddy Piper, and all them out front that's arguing. And it kind of reminds me of those days when I actually went to the movie to see this. And of course, everybody knows that Chunk loves Baby Ruth. So I took the liberty to add a Baby Ruth can over top of it. So what I do is I put the DVD inside of the can, and I have it displayed on my shelf. And I'll show y'all how I had that displayed. So it sits on my shelf just like this, on the can. Just like that. It sits on my shelf. So yeah. Chunk Baby Ruth. And it was like my ultimate favorite. And yeah, talking about some good old memories here. And this is predominantly one of them. And I was always one of the ones that was like the Goonies ultimate fan. And like I said, there's especially the car chase throughout the town, all that kind of good stuff. And This film was shot in Astoria, and which is a nice place with a lot of hills and valleys and stuff like that. And I thought that they pretty much did a bang up job when it came to that. And the Goonies was always a staple in my collection, and still is. And I decided to just do a memorial shelf on it by throwing a Baby Ruth collection as a standpoint on the inside to try to make it really a classic. Uh, yeah, the Goonies. All right, so next up, guys, we have Disney's classic of the Golden Compass, which is another one of my favorites too. Also, I like the story plot. I like how the adventures just keep going on, and with a spellbinding way of how you use action adventure and to its fullest. And like I said, they gave it 4 stars. Said it was superb. And the action play was just totally badass too. Also, so this became one of my features. It's the Golden Compass, and the story plot starts off with them in the castle, and they end up going outside the castle. It was so badass. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite features, and this is some of the characters that played inside of it. And of course, Nicole Kidman was my ultimate favorite, and Eva Green was in this one too, also. So this is why I say that whenever she's in something, it really totally rocks. And you can see there's Nicole Kidman there. Special features was also rocks, and they did have on the inside a pretty much a little booklet where you could pretty much look at what's going on, which I thought was pretty dominantly cool too, also. And yeah, one of my favorites, the Golden Compass. Next up, guys, we have Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, the collector's edition, which is my favorite too, also. And everybody was a fan of Tomb Raider. I didn't go to the movies to see this, but ended up seeing it later on, especially when it came on cable. I was like, wow, because I'm a huge fan of Angelina Jolie. I pretty much have all of her movies. And the Tomb Raider makes my list for the ultimate action adventure. So this will be chapter 2, guys. Action adventure. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do, and leave some comments at the bottom if you like some of the media that I do have in my particular collection. And we'll talk about some things that was your fan or your favorite features when you were growing up, or some movies that you saw in the theaters that kind of inspired you. To me, Angelina Jolie was the ultimate, and like I said, I have all of her movies, but the Tomb Raider was pretty much all of my favorites. And to see her just running through tombs, jumping over things, swinging on the rope, I mean, stuff like that. Stuff that she normally does anyway, but because she's always in shape. But just to see her in action the way she was just totally badass. And then when she had the 2 guns, it was like the totally badass thing to add to a female vigilante, if you will, because she was out to revenge the death of her father. And then when she was able to go back and find out what they had done, she pretty much exacted her revenge. Lara Croft's Tomb Raider. All right, so next up we have Kevin Sorbo and Danielle in Survivor. One of my favorites too, also ultimate sci-fi fantasy action adventure too, also. Anything Kevin Sorbo's in this really takes it over the map. She's stranded on this one particular planet. They were telling her that one day, humanity is going to be pretty much challenged by these beings that wanted to kind of take over. And out of her class, Kevin Sorbo trained her the most. And out of her entire class, she's the only one that survived and happened to rescue him, who was on the planet. And she pretty much did what she was supposed to do. And soundtrack rocks. Special features too also rocks. And I think that she did a pretty much good job of doing what she said she was going to do, because everybody in her class knew that she was the top of her class and that one day she would pretty much save the planet, and she did. Survivor. And it says that she's the only survivor, and they mean that because she literally was. Ultimate special features. And it pretty much was a portion where she was alone and stranded, but she had to pretty much get herself together, and then she just started doing what Kevin Sorbo told her to do. And as you can see, there's a plot right there, so y'all guys can pause that back and just get a close-up of the plot right there. But yeah, she's pretty much badass. Survivor. All right, guys, so next up we have Robot Overlords, which is another one of my favorites too. Also reminds me of Harry Potter and everything else all thrown together. Huge special effects action movie. They said it's like almost like the Transformers meets Doctor Who, which they are pretty much right, because in this particular session, they do have it where the robots were in control of the human population, and they kind of wanted them to sort of be the front runners of how they were to be governed in this particular new order. And the title's pretty badass too, Robot Overlords, which is pretty cool too, because it was like one guy that controlled the overlords, but there was one girl who can control the robots too, also through telekinesis, which is pretty cool. And she ended up being the hero. And I thought that was pretty cool. And that guy right there reminded me of Harry Potter, because he's running around with the girl trying to pretty much save her. And it's just totally badass. So yeah, Robot Overlords was my favorite too also. And the special features pretty much kicked ass. All right, so next up, guys, we have Forbidden Planet, which is my favorite too also. I mean, Forbidden Empire. I'm sorry, guys, I'm thinking about the classic. I've been watching sci-fi lately, a lot of sci-fi, so you guys can see. Because the one I was thinking about was the one with Leslie Nielsen, which came out in 1954. So, guys, this is Forbidden Empire, which is pretty cool also. The special effects are pretty much awesome in this particular fantasy journey into the heart of darkness. And they mean that too also. I remember watching this twice, and I was like, wow, is this? I was intrigued because I was like, am I watching Lord of the Rings? Or and it was definitely mythologically thought out, because it was it had you where you were almost mesmerized in a way because of the usage of special effects, and especially in the tower where you see that the trees and the branches were just coming in and stuff like that. And I mean, this was a total usage of CG. I mean, this thing really rocks. So Forbidden Empire is my ultimate. All right, so next up we have Gods of Egypt, which is pretty cool too also. And as you can see, you got the two guys, one from the movie 300, and you got the other guy from, you guessed it. And I thought that this reminded me of pretty much not only Game of Thrones, but Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and all of them put predominantly in one, because it was an awesome usage of special effects. And I thought that the queen was badass too also, the way how she turned herself into a snake. So it was totally awesome. And if you look at those guys, that's all lined up, the soldiers, they look just like the Unsullied if you look at them really closely. And whatnot better, because you have also the best of two guys, ultimate, fighting together. And it's massive amounts of CGI in this particular film. It's totally my ultimate. So yeah, guys, this is my particularly go-to when it comes to how sci-fi, fantasy, and action is predominantly supposed to be. So we have Gods of Egypt, which is my favorite. All right, so guys, for this one, I decided to bring them both out. We have The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, which is my favorite too also. This is a 2-disc special edition, and it's packed full of features, and they do have a lot of bonus backstage special effects that they do have also in this particular film. The New Zealand Earth Part 2, which is also on here too also, I believe it's on the second disc special features. And the sound is pretty much awesome too also, and the way of CG is pretty much badass. And I like how they just had Gannigus just take over. I mean, not Gannis, but Gandalf. They had him just kind of like just come and knock on the door, and then he's opening up the door because he's retired now, because after the the Lord of the Rings kind of just went on past. You know, he's retiring now, so he's living in his little mushroom hut. Next thing you know, Gandalf knocks on the door saying that we have to go back out for one more quest. So I thought that was cool. Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And then my other one that pretty much made it was my favorite too, also The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, which is my favorite too also. I pretty much love this one too also. It had a lot of features in it, and the special features were also badass, and the uses of CG was also totally badass. And I like the chapter menu too also, because it has this little, you can tell it's fantasy totally when you pop this damn thing in. And it's just reminds me of Desolation of Smaug so bad, so I just kind of always have them two together as my ultimate. All right, so next up, guys, we have 10,000 BC, which is another one of my favorites too also. This contains two different versions, the widescreen version and the full screen version. And it's pretty much a ultimate special effects film that's also done, that's resembling the 10,000 BC. And I thought that it was pretty much cool too also. And that tiger was pretty badass because he was pretty much smart. And the guy right there that's on the ground, he go tick tick, and then he's running around trying to find where she went at, and she was actually in a tree. So I love the way how they use the special features to give y'all guys a little backstage on what's going on. And this thing really pretty much rocks. 10,000 BC, and it's from the makers of The Day the Earth Stood Still and The Day After Tomorrow. So you know it's pretty much a badass classic, which I do have both of those two also. But for this one, this made it into my ultimate action adventure shelf. So all these films are on my action adventure shelf. So this is predominantly what we're dealing with now. So guys, don't forget to check out my feature that I did for Chapter 1, Sci-Fi, Fantasy, and Adventure. All right, so next up we have Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I'm pretty much a huge fan of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Susan Sigourney Weaver, and of course the rest. And Rick Moranis, he's funny as hell too also. And he goes, "Are you the gatekeeper? Smoke if you got him." And he's just totally fun. And I also do have him in Spaceballs, which he's a total nut, which I did review in my first one. So you guys check that out too also. This Ghostbusters 1 and 2, which is my favorite too also. And I didn't get a chance to review this last time because I had it in a different folder. So now I pretty much have a where I did a review on this too also. But yeah, Dan Aykroyd predominantly rocks. Anytime you put Rick Moranis and Dan Aykroyd in the same feature film, you know you're asking for a ultimate comedy spectacular feature. Sigourney Weaver, just totally badass after the Aliens trilogy. You know, she's just pretty much just handling her business. Bill Murray, after all his features he's played, they pretty much ride the drive-in a lot because they were both turning out features. So yeah, Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Smoke if you got them. All right, so next up, guys, we got the entire complete series of Quantum Leap, which is another one of my features too also in this particular collection. It almost reminds me of the chapter called Voyages, where they go through time trying to put things back. But this guy, he's pretty much like a guy who pretty much knows everybody's business, and he tries to help everybody out by going through the galaxy, doing whatever he needs to do. And I thought that this was pretty much funny too also. Yeah, the entire series of Quantum Leap, which is totally badass. All right, so guys, next up we have Witchblade, which is another one of my favorites too. This is the complete series too also of the complete series of this. And the special features predominantly rocks too also. Some of the characters that play in this feature. And she's this cop from the future, and she goes around doing her detective work. And she goes by the name of Sir Penzili. And she is sent out to trying to get her exact revenge, and she runs right into the Witchblade, and then gives her the ultimate powers to do what she needs to do. So it's totally badass too. Also inside they have the booklet too also, which it helps describe some things. And then you also have a sort of a artwork on the reversible cover. I mean, well, on the inside cover of it. And you have the chapter menu and stuff like that. And then you also have a huge fold out of the entire seasons on the inside, which is totally funny, because I would have thought that they would have done this in a different fold out, but they did pretty momentarily what they had to do for this entire feature. And then there's a wide shot of the Witchblade itself, so I always leave it that front way up on the Witchblade series. And each disc has their face on it too also, as far as the characters. Here's the last one on the mutant. So there you have it. Witchblade, the complete series. All right, so guys, so this will be it for the final features of my DVDs and Blu-rays of my action adventure fantasy. And don't forget, guys, click that like button and subscribe. Let me know that I'm doing my job predominantly right. And thank y'all for all the views y'all gave me already. So feel free to leave me some comments. Let's talk about some movies that you like and that you're into. Guys, on my last review, I talked about Homefire. So this as an added bonus. This is on the same line of fantasy and adventure 2 also in action. And this is also briefly done by PBS. And I want y'all guys to check out this one, Homefires. Season 2 is not over here in the United States, but this is season 1 of the complete, I'm sorry, second season. This season 1 is not over here, but this is the second season of Homefires. I want y'all guys to check this out and give it a spin. And it's predominantly nice. I actually definitely enjoyed this. And it was totally one of a kind. So guys, this ends my complete series of all this seasons. So we went through a lot on the overall tone of all the movies that we went through. It was totally definitely an adventure. And this is all on this particular one shelf. And I was glad to see that everything predominantly worked out pretty good. So yeah, guys, thank y'all for all your support. And don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And feel free to check out my channel and subscribe. And I'll see y'all guys on the next review. And as always, keep the projector rolling. And thank y'all guys for checking out Popcorn and Gore Gothic Grindhouse. Action Adventure, Chapter 2. Peace.